It's Jeff Steitzer, the voice of God multiplayer announcer for Halo. You know, the guy that says things like double kill, triple kill, killing spree, rampage, Kilimanjaro, betrayal, and stuff like that. Well, of course you know that, because of course that's why you reached out to me to do some recording for you, and I'm happy to do it. However, there's something you need to do for me, and that is let me know how I can listen to your podcast. I would love to, especially since you're going to be, I guess, reviewing episodes of the new TV series. I saw the first one just the other day because, of course, my very, very dear friend Jen Taylor, who is, as you know, the voice of Cortana, is the one person from the gaming version that actually has something to do with the TV series. I talked to her, God, it's months and months and months ago, when she was shooting in Europe. It was terrible, of course, because they were in the midst of lockdown because of COVID. So all they could do was sit in their hotel rooms at night. They couldn't see the city that they were working in. They couldn't go out and drink or have a nice supper. They were just they went from their rooms to the set, and, they were heavily quarantined. It was tough work. But nevertheless, I am delighted that the show is now finally airing, and I get to see what they've all been up to. And so far, I'm having a good time. LPF Debrief.
Welcome, fellow Last Pacers, to another episode of LPF Debrief, where Chris and I discuss comic books, movies, and TV shows. And special shout out to Jeff Steitzer for doing the beginning of this video that you guys are going to see. If you guys haven't noticed by his amazing voice and lived under a rock and never played Halo in your life before, you know exactly who that is. So shout out to Jeff. Thank you so much for doing that video for us. We really appreciate it. It's amazing, by the way. Just awesome.
I was in awe, man. I was in awe whenever I got the email that he sent it through. And then also be sure to leave a comment for him. Show him some love in the comments. He actually took an interest in the podcast, so he'll probably be watching this because he himself, as you guys saw, said he's watching the Halo series because obviously why not? And
makes sense.
Yeah, so he's gonna be there. So show him some love in the comments. All right.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys haven't watched our other video, we did drop Moon Knight earlier this week, so be sure to check that out if you guys have already watched it. So we're doing our second video, well, technically our third, right? If you count the live show of the week.
Yeah.
We're our third video.
Yeah, hustling this week.
We're dropping them, and then I'm also going to go watch Morbius right after. I was like Moonlight,
yeah,
well, because I have Moon Knight on my mind,
exactly.
and then
Sounds
Morbius,
like you're gonna say Mobius.
They started with an M. So what do you want me to do here? You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get right into it. You guys already know what to do. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and spoilers ahead as always. If you don't like spoils, go off and doop.
Yeah, we also got to super shame Yendi on this one because I'm sure Jeff is a busy guy. He's a voice actor, and he has time to watch the shows and the things that we like. But Yendi still does not.
But Yendi not watching this show, really, I just don't understand. Because not only is he, I'm always been a massive Halo fan, and he still hasn't watched it yet.
You got to.
Hopefully, we can get him around by the time the season finale comes out, which I still don't know how many episodes this show is going to be.
Have no idea.
Getting right into it, episode 2 of Halo on Paramount Plus. Chris, what did you think about episode 2?
I'm actually getting really into it. I got into this one. I know on the first episode I think because of the helmet reveal, it left a bad taste in our mouths, and we were just like, I can't believe this happened, all this other stuff. So now
I think once you get over the initial shock, it's okay.
Now that it's out of the way, I'm like, okay, I'm in. Now I'm in. I'm enjoying the story. This is a different Chief, and it definitely shows in the show because of where they are. This is a whole different story. What we learned from this one is they don't know what Halo is yet. Cortana is not in the picture yet. What else? And Master Chief is finding out himself that he's a special person. So it's like a prequel. It's all prequel. I'm kind of starting to think that we're going to see the Pillar of Autumn, and we'll see that sequence of the first game like actually going to Halo at some point. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be this season or if it'll end this season, but yeah, I'm kind of excited now. And I'm glad that we're getting more of John's background, Master Chief's background. It's pretty dope to see. It's small snippets, but it's enough to give me like, okay, I can carry on, and we can keep going. But overall, I actually really enjoyed the episode. Yeah, I was just tuned in the whole time.
Also,
still a little, still
a
little cheesy.
My light was on.
Oh, my bad, bro.
You know.
My bad.
But
Still some cheesy
agree.
moments, but I enjoyed it. Like some of the funny moments, because he's bro, Master Chief. Props that I don't know that actor's name. I should, but bro, I get that Master Chief. I mean, he's doesn't have feeling or anything like that. He's learning, and that guy does a great job because it's like it's dry whenever he stands there, like and they're delivering
on Pablo Schibler.
Is
Pablo Schibler? I think that's how you say his last name. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I know it's Pablo, and then I believe it's Schibler.
Okay. Well, he's like, bro, he delivers like the way he's acting right now, everything dry and everything, because he doesn't have that emotion yet. He's starting to learn that he has feelings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A great job, because I'm sitting there and those awkward moments where it's like, yeah, man, this guy doesn't get what he's like, so wired. He doesn't know what's going on. So, and you definitely get that feeling with him. So,
yeah, that is for sure. You do to get that feeling with him. So I have an interesting, like, now that I've watched episode 2, like I said, the initial shock of the helmet is now gone. I'm still not the biggest fan of seeing his face all the time.
I get that.
And I do get that it is a story driven thing, but my thing is, my reasoning behind it, right, is if we're going to have this person act robotic and act like no thing, then does the facial expressions matter that much? You know what I mean? Does it matter that we are having to see a guy express his feelings if we're going to have a person who's in a suit of armor already acting very robotic? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where I kind of like, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying the show, because like this episode was definitely a slower episode. We didn't have any like real action scenes or anything like that. So we got the real story of what they're trying to go to and where they're trying to go with it. But I'm just trying to, I guess, justify the decision of showing his face. I'm still trying to like understand what brought us to that thing. And maybe, you know, we'll see that later on. Maybe there is a reason why we feel this, like all of that can be portrayed for why we needed to see his face. Mm-hmm. But until I get that reason, it's still going to be like a little thing that irks me in the show is that we showed his face, because especially right now, right? Because now, like I said in the first episode of this, was I just felt like if you were going to do it, it was just too soon. And now it's like we still have this person acting really like you said, generic, and he's doing a great job. It's just Master Chief's face, the helmet itself could be doing the same kind of expression.
Yeah,
it's not like he's smiling. Yeah. He's not like he's like crying or any of that stuff. So I don't know, for me, if that's just like, okay, well, now we see his face, or again, playing Halo for almost 20 years, we're kind of used to that. I am happy it is more of a prequel also, which also brings me to a point where I'm really interested in is I wonder, since the way that Master Chief is acting now and doing all the stuff where he's just like doesn't have like that drive where he's just like, okay, I'm gonna go like handle this mission or this, like, you know, be like the Chief we know from the game. I'm wondering if once he gets Cortana, we're going to get that, because I feel like that would be the perfect opportunity, and I think it helps the story for the first 2 episodes, right? So like, let's say Chief gets Cortana, and then he starts acting like the Chief we know from the.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, what if something happens where he's like, you know, I opened up to everybody. I tried to open up, and now I'm realizing I got to stay closed, and then that's when he stops, like, you know, taking off the, you know, all that. Yeah,
that's where I would say And if that's the case, then I'm okay. Like it would make these first 2 episodes better, in my opinion. Like it would not, like I said, not that I'm saying that the episodes are bad. I'm just saying if that's the case, then I would be I would be so happy, just because it makes a lot more sense, right? Because we had the 2 episodes where he's like trying to find himself. It's stories that we haven't gotten before. We also have never seen Master Chief without Cortana. So that kind of justifies that whole like acting out of character and like not acting the same, or like, being different than what we know. But then Cortana coming in and giving him that sense of, hey, by the way, like this is, this is how we know Chief to act. And it doesn't have to necessarily be as soon as he gets Cortana. But if we go towards the end of the season and he's starting to act like the Chief we know because of Cortana, then it would make a lot more sense. And like I said, anything you do beforehand will be, for me, would be raised because of that.
Also, Cortana, is that her in the pod, or is that Halsey's clone?
It's Halsey's clone.
But she's supposed to be, but she's supposed to be Cortana. Okay, so because I was confused, is she gonna stay in the pod and be Cortana, or is Cortana gonna be this?
That's the question. I remember from seeing the stills
maybe it was
that people had an issue. That I know people from seeing the stills and not watching the trailer, that I know that they had the still of Cortana, and Twitter was just like, she's not even blue or all this. So I'm interested to see where we get to with how Cortana is going to look, because I'm very, I do feel like you have to give her Cortana look. Like we are too far in the age of technology where Cortana cannot look like Cortana we know.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they do. Obviously, I feel like we're probably going to see Cortana in this next episode as Cortana, like fully Cortana. At least if it's not the beginning of the episode, it's going to be at least midway, or at least the end, or it might be the cliffhanger. Like I said, I need to go. I looked on the online. It hasn't really told me how many episodes this is going to be, which is what I'm kind of like wanting to know, just to see how we're gonna go about pacing. You know what I mean? So I'm really interested to see how many like how many episodes it's gonna be. I'm gonna try to see if I can do a quick search. Yeah, you see, it only says like the amount that has already come out. So
they don't even want to say. That's different.
Well, yeah, it is different. But I mean, lately that's been happening a lot, unless it's like told at the beginning. But we didn't find out. I don't like WandaVision. I think we didn't find out it was like 7 episodes until like episode 4 or something like that. So it's not uncommon for them to not tell you. I'm wondering to see if they're going to wait to see exactly how much people are responding to it before they decide if they want to keep it going. Because I mean, you can only imagine. I mean, you pretty much end most TV shows with somewhat of a cliffhanger. So, but obviously, I feel like I'm interested to know, because I feel like I don't want them to be pacing themselves where it's too slow, where they don't get enough information and then they tell us, oh, you might not get a season 2. So like, I kind of want them to, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, right? Because at the end of the day, like you could have been piloted for your episodes for your first season and then not have your second season guaranteed yet. So I am interested to see how many episodes and where the show actually ends off. Because if we have that big cliffhanger and we're like, the cliffhanger is seeing Halo, that's going to be a tough one to not get season 2 to. And I would be like, oh my gosh, this is not where you're about to end this, where like things are really going to pick up. Because I mean, so I am interested to see what the pacing is going to be, because obviously we can do this in 3 seasons, right? Like you can do Halo 1 through 3 if you wanted to in 3 full seasons, just by doing so, like, action scenes. Because obviously once we get to Halo 2, you have the Flood, you're just introducing new characters and stuff like that. So
bro, I'm interested. I hope the Flood is its own. I want the Flood to be its own season. It needs to be like a horror.
It would be season 2.
Yeah, it'd be a scary, everything would be nuts. That's what I really want to see, is that coming to life and it being a scary movie, because that's what it should be. But with I thought it was cool that we're seeing all different civilization. And I'm still getting used to people not liking Chief. Like, where in the games, I mean, you only see the war side of him. And you're like, this guy's badass and everything like that.
Yeah,
and then you go into the real world and people are like, this guy's a monster. Like these people suck. Like we all hate them. So I'm like, man, this is so weird to see like him walk through. Everybody's picking up guns. Like, hey man, like this is, we don't want you here. You need to go. So, but yeah, seeing all the different different groups and populations and planets, and also the planet Madrigal. I keep saying welcome to the planet Madrigal every time. It never fails.
Well, of course you would. Of course.
Every
I
time
didn't even think of that, and now, of course, it's going to be embedded in my head.
Sure enough, like whenever, just before that scene of that guy killing people, it's like, I was like, welcome to the planet.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
That was brutal. Like, like what was going on there? Like, I was literally watching this, and I was like, okay, like, all right, like we're like killing people like that, and then I really felt the ruthlessness when he like lifted up the
girls,
like
and he's like,
and then was like, oh, bat, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, rated M for mature.
Yeah, it took me a second to realize who he was, because I was like, oh wait, who is this? And then that was the guy from the first episode that came up on the news, and he's like, I'm here. But I guess he put. I didn't understand what the gang. What, I don't know if it was a gang. It was kind of a little bit. The audio was a little bit weird for me whenever they were walking through the city and they thought the UNSC put the hit on. I forgot her name, but puts the hit on her on the girl, and they're like, no, it's not them. So, and then they cut to that guy. So I was like,
well, but wait. they did though. The thing is that the hit was still put out because remember they sent out that order in the first episode. The first episode, they send out the hit, and then they on Quan, and then they say like, and then Chief disobeys that order. Yeah. But then the bounty was set by that I forget that character's name right now, but the bounty was then set by the people on there. So that's what's going on, and that's what he's seeing now as far as what's going on. So it's pretty. They are in an interesting place. I'm also interested to see what they do with Quan's character now that they left her. You know what I mean? So like, does he go back? Like,
it looks like she's gonna be going back. Like,
I know she's gonna go back, but I think I would be okay with a couple of episodes without, like again, like I'm from what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing reports that it's supposed to be 9 episodes. Which, so, I mean, we're about, episode 3 will make it about a third. We're done, like, close. So we'll see what happens next. I know we'll see her again for sure. There's no way.
I think it's going to take, they're going to take that thing of like everybody splitting off so we can get, they can kind of build up the world a little bit more. So she'll get her story. We'll learn about who this guy is in that gang. And then we'll get Chief's story. For the viewers real quick, there's going to be a cut right here because my dog's in the room causing trouble. So give me a second.
Oh my goodness. Am I pausing this?
You don't have to pause. It should only take like a minute.
What? I mean, but for the podcast. Oh, well, guys, listen, podcast listeners, we're going to give you some extra info. Chris is chasing his dog because she is running around. So just enjoy my voice for the next couple of seconds while we have this little bridge in the middle before we finish talking about the show. So, but that was pretty much some of how I felt there on what was going on. And we have Chris back. Yeah. But yeah, it's supposed to be, I do agree with you on that sense of where I do feel that they are going to now like take this time to build everyone else's story, which is what you want, right? And which is a full advantage that you need to take on TV shows. Like you do have the time. And again, the hope is that they've been like renewed for another season and they know what, how everyone's going to react kind of thing. So that way they can guarantee that second season, at least, that way it helps you I think it helps you more with your pacing when a season 2 is coming out. So I really hope that worked out for them. And they're like, you know what, you guys are going to get at least the minimum of 2 seasons just so they can see how they're going to space.
And it'll be tough because with that first episode, like they had, I think it's the highest like streamed thing on Paramount Plus so far because everybody's been wanting this. But you have some hardcore Halo fans that are going to go in, they see that first episode and they're going to be like, no, I'm out. And they're not even going to give it the chance.
that's
so
the thing,
hopefully
though,
enough
right?
people
So,
are like, you know what? Let me stick with it. Let me stick with it, and we'll keep going.
and that's
So-
usually the issue. So like we'll see what happens there, because if they do, like you said, if everyone does go in and says, okay, we give it a chance and continue to, hopefully that's what happens for us, and then we can continue to get it, and everyone is happy with it. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm ready to see what else is going to happen. I think they have a real good chance to build a really good story on, especially like pre Halo stuff. So if you wanted to build enough of a story to where you want to draw us in, and then maybe the end of this season, you then have it be like close to where we know Halo 1 from. And then if you want to just give us 6 parts for season 2 of just Halo 1 like action scenes, I'm down. Like I'm down. I don't know if that's what we'll get. I doubt it. But you never know. I like I said, it's always interesting to see from a production standpoint on where they're going to go, like if they're going to dial things back, if they're going to take more time. I am interested in seeing all of that. So I'm like I said, I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. I do want to know. I do want episode 3 because I'm ready for Cortana. I think Cortana being introduced is going to be such a big part of the show. You know what I mean? Like, because again, it's going to give the viewers, the Halo fans, that comfort kind of, especially because it's the voice actress too. So like, you know what I mean? It's going to give us that sense of like, okay, I can feel it now. Like there's the Halo that like, I feel. But besides that, I mean, I do want to give a big shout out to the costume designs, because that costume, like that Master Chief armor, looks absolutely phenomenal.
When he walks away in the ship, I'm like looking at it. I'm like seeing the parts move and everything. I was like, what?
It's insane how good that like. It's insane how good it looks. It looks so fantastic. Like it doesn't look like a cheap like made. It looks like real metal. Like it looks like it's a legit titanium.
Yeah.
Like, and then I love the sound effects that they've added. When the Spartans move,
or like when they're walking on deck and everything.
And it's like clink clink, like it sounds like that little hover. And then they still added some of those Halo sounds. And the Halo, and that's another one. I'm glad I talked about sound. The asteroid scene, which
I was gonna say that later, too. Yeah,
was phenomenal. Like the way that they cut in and out of space sound, because obviously, like when you're seeing it from the outside, there's no sound, and then the inside there was sound, like she's making noise. I thought that scene was extremely well done. I even should have talked about that at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, because I love that, because most of the time, you hear, you're hearing everything. So it's cool that they're trying to take that. It's funny that they're taking such a real approach on a fantasy that we've it's so cool that they do that. Go ahead.
I will say there's definitely a beautiful blend of us getting a real world situation. Like they're trying to make it real world, but they're not shying away from it still being like a video game. So like we'll still get those moments, like even in that one where you got to see it in first person, it looked just like when you look through your binoculars in Halo. Mm-hmm. So like little things like that I really enjoy. I think it's really cool that they're also have made sure they considered every like aspect of Halo, which is why I'm interested when we see it later to see how much more of the Halo lore that we already know that they dive in, because obviously from that first episode we know they're going to use the sound effects. They're going to do some stuff like that. So I'm interested to see what else they bring in from there.
Is there any sound effect that you're looking forward to, like gun wise? Like is there a gun that you're ready to see? Because I have 2 in my head.
I mean, I'm ready to see just a rocket launcher, just because I'm interested to see if they go like how crazy they go, because they can go ridiculous with it. I am interested to see that, and I don't think the other thing is a weapon. I do want to see why am I blanking on the name? Not a warthog, the Covenant,
not mongoose.
A mongoose, yes. No, not a mongoose.
Ghost. You're thinking
Covenant.
of the ghost?
A ghost.
Yeah. Ghost. Yeah.
I do want to see a ghost in action, like just like a little. Because I have been liking how they've been doing their motion speeds and stuff like that. Because
I just wonder if it hauls ass as fast as that Banshee in the first
train.
episode.
I thought I was going to say that.
Oh no, the train was
when he did and hooks onto the clamp. I was like, wait a minute. So I thought that was cool too. So I'm interested to see, because we'll have a chase scene at some point, whether it's Banshees, like Banshees versus whatever,
You and the
or
Star
we'll
Wars
see
scooters.
or we'll see some like some warthogs going crazy. So I am interested to see where we're gonna get with everything on that end.
Real quick for me, I want to see the Needler. I want to hear it. And then also in the first episode, I saw one of the Spartans with a sniper, and I just want to hear like this is going.
Absolutely, the shot. I mean, we did see someone get thing, but like I think like I said, there's a lot of room to play with there. They have a lot of lore to play with,
and it seems like they're gonna do it. Like it seems what they're giving us. I like I said, no complaints. So far, I mean, there was some, just the whole reveal and everything is the only bad thing that we don't agree with. And so far, everything else, I'm like, okay, shock. It's just like, okay, but we're in for the ride all the way into the end, and then we'll have what we have. I wanted to mention how we're getting more information on how Spartans are from one that left. So the fact that like when that fruit scene, when he's eating it, he's like, how's that taste? And he's like, I don't taste anything. And it's just like the way he's just programmed to, okay, you need to eat. Like you're literally a machine, but we have to feed you. We have to give you water. You have to sleep. Like we're giving you all these things, but we're going to take away the sense of craving, the want, the hunger, the pain, the feel, everything. So it's just
absolutely, because what is food without the taste? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's it's like one of those simple, subtle things that you don't think about. Like you only crave food because, like, if everything tasted the same, you would just know that you're hungry, and that you would need it for nutrition. But it's the taste that we normally crave. So I agree with you on that end, where I do like a lot of the things that they're putting in that we kind of didn't have a story to, right? And I think that is one of the things that you should do. If you don't have a story to something, then give it one. And I know people are going to say, well, that's what they're doing with Master Chief. Yes, you're right. But again, did we need to see his face? I don't know yet. I'm not even going to like pass judgment and be like, it needed to be like not be done. I just when you do an action for it, I just want to see if it warrants the action, right? I just want to see if you're doing something that made, like, what was the reason? Because my brother Kyle, who was on the show, he brought up a good point and said, like, he was just like, well, from what he's heard, he doesn't watch Halo or play it. He was like, it does, like, Master Chief not showing his face never really did anything for the story. It was just kind of something that we, as the fans of the show, I mean of the games, just never got, right? But my counter to that was always like, well, then if that's the case, then what was you have to give us a reason to show his face.
Yeah.
So let's see, again, if you give us a reason, I feel like I can then justify it and then be like, okay, I understand. I will still say, I do think it was too early. That's just something I will always feel.
Any predictions that you got going on?
Next episode, obviously, besides the obvious, we're going to see Cortana. I think we'll get a little more Covenant action in the next one, because I think once he gets Cortana, he's probably going to start off, trying to find this ring. That's going to be like the next major story thing, and then that's where I'm like I said, I'm interested to see, because I want to know how much conversation and dialogue are we going to go through before Katana actually becomes a part of his suit. So that's what I'm interested to see. I think, but yeah, besides, I think Cortana is that for sure is happening in this episode. So not much of a prediction, not much of a bold prediction. It's just much of that's pretty much what's going to happen, because that's the way we have it set up. How about you?
For me, I do expect, I have the name here, Quan, to go back to Madrigal. And it's saying it in my head, that's why I paused. But also the girl that's with the Covenant, I guess her name's did they say her name? Because I don't want to say it here.
I think they did. They did say her name.
Okay, Maki. Is that her? Okay. So I think because you saw her, you saw her, do her thing. She's getting ready to go out into the human world to start looking for Halo, or find the relics to find Halo. And I feel like they're going to run into each other. So I feel like in my head, I feel like they run into each other. She befriends her, and I think later on we meet up, and they're like, "Oh man, she's the bad pro. What's going on?" And I don't know, something weird. I don't know. She's I don't see her. She's gonna end up somewhere with somebody.
No,
not Quan, but Maki. Maki's gonna end up somewhere where it's like, you know, they give you that feeling of like, oh my god, we know who this person is, but they don't. So I feel like it's gonna be crazy. I think she's gonna mess some things up for people, and it's gonna be fun to see.
We'll definitely see more of her, and I mean, obviously, I do think, you know, her and Chief will find each other at some point. I mean, that's pretty much what you're setting it up to be anyway. Like, just for them to meet. I don't know if we do that in the next episode. I know
not in the next. Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? Like I said, I'm always interested to see exactly where they're going to go with pacing. And now that we know that rumored to be 9 episodes, they might go with a little more dialogue in this episode, and then after probably like episode 4 and 5, we'll really start to see some crazy action. I mean, also the show itself had, I think it was a $90 million budget, so we'll see what's going on. See what happens in the future there. But before we wrap it up, what was your favorite part of this episode?
Favorite part of this episode, man, I'm gonna say him walking through the city when the door opens and everybody's like, look, and they put the forklift in front of him, and they all laugh at him, and I was like, bro.
He's like, seriously? He's like, he's like, you don't really realize, like,
like
move this, right?
Y'all, you guys watch the news, come on now. So
he's like, y'all not serious right now.
But I did like that whole entrance and just seeing another world. Going into that whole train scene too was how calm he was, and I'm like, that's a steep hill.
And the hook, I mean, the way that
hook,
it latched on,
it was cool.
Really cool too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, my favorite part for me was definitely, like I just talked about, was the asteroid scene. I just thought, I'm a sucker for sound, and I mean, when you do some stuff that messes with, like, you know, how, like, what we see and stuff like that, I'm all about it. So I'm definitely thinking, for me, that's what my favorite part was. Just the way that they cut in and out, the camera angles, which were really good here too. They're pretty awesome. I was a big fan of just that scene, and you know, again, we'll see. I think that's another scene again where I just feel like the old Chief goes in my head, and I'm starting to picture scenes with the helmet, and I think it would have just been cooler if you just saw Master Chief's helmet and not a person's facial expression, because like Chief's helmet would have just been like super calm anyway, and you would have just.
My thing is, so the one time that I felt, okay, this is necessary, is whenever, I know he made the joke, but he's like, take off your armor, I just cleaned the floor, I just did the floors, right? But him, like, imagine him in the suit sitting on the couch, like, we wouldn't have that family moment there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you would write the show different.
True, I guess.
That's what I mean. Like, the only reason why it feels like that now is because it's necessary on the way that they wrote the show. I'm just saying, like, okay, I see from the point of him actually showing his face, like, you know what I mean? Like, was it like, now anything that happens now is going to be like written towards him already have shown his face.
Yeah, but
I'm just looking for the reasoning if it was enough for him to show his face.
Yeah, I think we're right though. When he gets Cortana and he goes to Halo and stuff like that, I think it'll be less and less. Right now, just to build the lore and him going into seeing people. I know he's using his helmet as a sign of trust too. That's what I'm getting the sense of. As soon as he takes it off, it's like, hey, trust me, because I'm showing my face. I'm vulnerable, I guess. I don't know, but him seeing other people and everything like that, I get the setting. So maybe as it goes along, we'll start seeing less and less. But you know, like we keep saying, we don't know. It's already happened, and all we can do is sit along for the ride.
For sure. Well, that is going to be it for us. Shout out once again to Jeff for doing the intro for us. We really appreciate it. And obviously, thank you for just your lifetime's work of pretty much being the voice of, I mean, for sure, I know me and Chris's childhood of just, you know, listening to you and, I mean, playing that game for hours and knowing that voice being so distinct for us. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a voice that, like, if I hear it, like, and if if you were to do a random call in the street, I would know who it was instantly. Like, so, and I do want to thank you for that.
it was a dream completed, because I remember at the beginning when we started this podcast last year, probably like 2 months in, we thought about this of like,
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if we got him to like to do the and so it was months of planning, and then up to the point where finally like, let's go for it. And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, so we really appreciate that. And everyone else, we appreciate you guys. Also, thank you guys for joining us on our journey and just hearing me and Chris talk about things that we like. And you know, if Yendi would, you know, stop being a punk and watch some of the stuff that we know he would probably like, you know, he could be on the show instead of not doing like a random drop that he did on Moon Knight. So so yeah. But if you guys haven't watched Moon Knight and are watching Moon Knight, go check that out.
Yeah.
But until next time, guys, we'll see you guys sometime on Tuesday for sure for the show. And then Morbius might be coming out at some point within this next week. And then we'll see you guys for Moon Knight episode 2. So a lot of content coming out. Please stick around with us, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. But for now, Fire Team out.